Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala.
4th February 1936. Some Peshwaris, among them a judicial commissioner and a young man well-read and earnest, with a strong belief in the existence of Paramatman or Supreme Self as different from the Jivatman, individual self, raised some questions. Sri Bhagavan clinched his various doubts by this one statement: remove the upadhis, adjuncts, Jiva and Parama from the Atman and say if you still find the difference. If later these doubts still persist, ask yourself, who is the doubter? Who is the thinker? Find him. These doubts will vanish. Talk number 154, February 5th, 1936. The next day he asked about Pranayama. Maharshi replied, Pranayama, according to Gnana, is Naham, I am not this, out breathing. Koham, who am I? In breathing. Soham, I am he, retention of breath. This is vichara. This vichara brings about the desired result. For one not so advanced as to engage in it, some meditation brings about suspension of breath and the mind ceases to be restless. Control of mind spontaneously affects control of breath. Rather, kevala kumbhaka, spontaneous retention of breath without attention to inhalation or exhalation results. For one unable to do this also, regulation of breath is prescribed for making the mind quiescent. Quiescence lasts so long as the breath is controlled, so it is transient. The goal is clearly not pranayama. It extends only to pratyahara, dharana, dhyana and samadhi. Those states deal with the control of mind. Such control becomes easier for the man who had earlier practiced pranayama. Pranayama leads him to the higher states involving control of the mind. Therefore, control of mind is the aim of yoga also. A more advanced man will naturally go direct to control of mind without wasting his time in practicing control of breath. A simple development of pranayama alone may count for siddhis, which so many hanker for. When asked if there are any food restrictions, Sri Bhagavan said, Mita hita bhuk, agreeable food in moderate quantity. When asked about the efficacy of bhakti, Sri Bhagavan said, so long as there is vibhakti, there must also be bhakti. So long as there is viyoga, there must be yoga. So long as there is duality, there must be God and devotee. Similarly, also in vichara, so long as there is vichara, there is duality also. But merging into the source, there is unity only. So it is with bhakti too. Realizing the God of devotion, there will be unity only. God too is thought of in and by the self. So God is identical with the self. If one is told to have bhakti for God and does so straight away, it is all right. But there is another kind of man who turns round and says, there are two, I and God. Before knowing the far-off God, let me know the more immediate and intimate I. For him, the vichara marga has to be taught. There is in fact no difference between bhakti and vichara. Talk number 155. The same man again asked about the nature of samadhi and the means to get samadhi. Maharshi replied, when one who asks the nature of samadhi and the method of getting into it vanishes, samadhi will result. Major Chadwick said, it is said that one look of a Mahatma is enough, that idols, pilgrimage, etc. are not so effective I have been here for 3 months, but I do not know how I have been benefited by the look of Maharshi. Maharshi replied, the look has a purifying effect. Purification cannot be visualized. Just as a piece of coal takes long to be ignited, a piece of charcoal takes a short time, and a mass of gunpowder is instantaneously ignited, so is it with the greats of men coming in contact with Mahatmas. Mr. Cohen said, I get into meditation and reach a point which may be called peace and a contemplative mood. What should be the next step? Maharshi said, peace is self-realization. Peace need not be disturbed. One should aim at peace only. The devotee then asked, but I do not have the satisfaction. Maharshi replied, because your peace is temporary. If made permanent, it is called realization. End of talk 155.